Hi guys, Reaper here. Thanks for coming back to see another one of my videos. Welcome any newcomers. I'm today live inside the test server, currently sat in my Cyclone. Thought I'd go out today and test some of the changes or the more positive things. There's a lot of talk at the moment about people being quite upset about the rapid changes. My opinion is that the rapid medium nerf, reducing the range ever so slightly and reducing the DPS by about 15 or so percent, isn't really doing what I thought it would do, and the talks and discussions were about trying to make them less effective at hitting everything. So if you put rapid medium launchers on any ship and shoot at a fast moving frigate, it was applying almost all of its DPS. So perhaps a little bit of work needs to be done there. Also, at the moment, it seems like medium missile launchers have the same kind of damage as rapids used to have. Of course, they're not hitting frigates as well, but why should a launching platform for missiles have a far greater range and far greater DPS? It just seems like we need to shift the focus into a different way, make the rapid mediums less effective against frigs somewhat, but have the greater DPS over the shorter range, and do something similar with the mediums, but reducing the damage. On to some of the more positive stuff. The medium missile launchers, I believe, have always been somewhat useless. So with this patch, I believe people are going to start using them again now that we have these things, Mark III target painters. At the moment on the test server, we only have Mark III's seeded, so I can't show you anything other than this. However, I've put 3 of them in my mid slots. I intend to go out in space and do a relatively easy encounter, an advanced encounter, a 550,000 ISK one. And in this particular fitting, I've got 6 Challenger medium missile launchers in the highs. Ideally, I may want to swap out and have a stasis webifier and 2 target painters in the mid slots, as the third has a significant dropout. And if a frigate comes speeding over with a micro warp driver or an afterburner, it's going to be more hard to hit, but we'll find that out in a second. And here we have the Challenger medium launcher. As you can see, 57.57 kilometer range. My skills are for the operation, I've got 5.5 and my expert is at 4. And then for the upgrade, I have 5 and 4. I'm working on 5 so that I can get the upgrade expert skills to be able to increase my range and damage and explosion, velocity and radius a little bit more. But as we can see, the missiles here, they have a fantastic range, and the alpha damage on these looks to be really, really high. It's doing 194 of each damage, so 194 times 4 times 6 launchers, we're looking at 4,600 damage on an alpha volley, which is a massive step up to what it would have been previously. So this should take out a lot of, I would say, destroyers on first hit, hopefully with the target painters going, and certainly take out a frigate, whereas before it would take 2 or 3 volleys to take out a frigate, thus rendering them pointless to use because of the fact that we had rapid mediums. But some people's play style might be a bit more lazy. I'd like to try the lazy approach and the lazy play where you can sit back, orbit, keep a distance and not have to worry so much, and not worry about being up close. And it also might help on some story missions as well. In the low slots here, I've got a damage control system to boost up my DPS. This is giving me the 533. I've got a couple of Mark VII missile guidance computers to give me that extra bit of range, and when I put them on live, staggering amount of range, but again the duration on that's too slow for you to need to worry about it. A Gistum C-type afterburner for me to be able to dictate range all that much better, and I've got a C-type medium shield booster for me to be able to stay in the fight for that little bit longer. The only thing on missions that really should be troubling you is elite ships, perhaps which burn over, and perhaps some frigates. Other than that, it should be pretty straightforward and you should be able to maintain your capacitor pretty easily. But again, we're going to find that out shortly on this video. If we take a look at the rigs, I've made a couple of changes to the rigs. Obviously I'm moving towards better range, so I've reduced two of the I've reduced the shield booster mount rig, and I've replaced that with a velocity rig, and I've still got the 12.5% damage rig. It's arguable, and I need to test whether that's going to be better, or the reload, because of the 10-second reload time for overall damage. 7.5% bonus to flight time, and I've got the missile velocity also at 7.5. Now, I did have 2 damage mods in here giving me 574 DPS, and just the one velocity rig, which was giving me a 55-kilometer range. So for the extra 50 or so DPS, there's a trade-off of 3.5 kilometers worth of range. So you can have this ship running and operating at a 55-kilometer range with close to the DPS that I had previously on my rapid medium launchers. So that's a quite important fact. Looking at some of the engineering rigs, I have some rigs for capacitor, just to keep that going. Again, my capacitor could last a bit longer if I had proper rigs in there. I've also got auxiliary thrusters for me to increase my afterburner speed. Again, the rigs here, I'm not sure what's going to be best. I could probably change these up to get the better range and the better DPS. It's just a matter of playing around with it. But for this video specifically, I just really wanted to see how well medium launchers do against some NPCs in space. So let's take these out with the damage advertised here and the range advertised, and see exactly how well this does against a fairly easy encounter. I'm very curious to see how this plays out, and to see whether anything else perhaps in space has changed to do with the NPC rats, the missions themselves. But I'm warping into the mission here, severe punishment at 42 kilometers, which should put me at good enough range. Again, I'm in a Cyclone. This mission is super easy, even without a proper tank, just running my shield booster. I mean, even my buffer should be enough to keep me alive throughout the whole battle. For the purpose of this, I've picked a fairly easy mission, a 550 ISK mission. Again, I'm just going to check my range here to make sure it's still showing the same, as sometimes if you leave station in test servers, things can change. So still showing the same kind of range there. Landing now. These ships are looking very similar to what they would have been looking like before. I'm going to want to engage the frigate first. I'm within my missile optimal range. It did show 57. I see this guy at 54, 53. He's moving fast. This frigate is micro warp driving at a really fast speed, 3 or 4 kilometers per second. I don't remember any frigs in this mission previously having a micro warp drive, so that to me is very, very different. That's quite a big change. And as you can see now, putting my target painters on, and you can see the red laser of doom upon him. Let's see how well I do if I activate my modules and get my missiles on him. I don't think I'll do so well here because of the speed. Yeah, again, 557. He's going super fast. So in this particular instance, even if the easier missions have ships with micro warp drives, then you're going to want to have the web to slow them down and apply some more damage. Very, very unusual. I didn't expect to see this kind of change with the ship being that much harder to hit. Also, I'm being hit with an E-War module. I'm going to check that out in a second. Let's get a volley off on this sniper. He doesn't, the destroyer, he doesn't appear to be micro warp driving, and hopefully I can do a good amount of damage. So I'm going to let loose a volley now and see what happens. Just having a look at my laser graphic on him. Looks really sweet, really well done with the graphics. Big fan of that. So I'm now shooting him with a volley. Let's see what happens when this hits. So should have really hit by now. There's something going on here. Probably the E-War. Oh, this could be a, yeah, if we have a look here. Yep, my range is down to 38.93 kilometers. So unfortunately, with all these new E-War modules coming out, One of them is affecting my missile effectiveness, which isn't great. The target painter is not affecting my range. Clearly, nothing on here to show any penalties to the range. So if we have a look on the icon here, there we go, guidance disruption. So that is an EWAR module, which is making my missiles hit less well and have a bigger explosion radius. That's not great because that's kind of almost countering the target painters. So this means you may have to change things, which is a shame because I've always farmed Caldari missions. You know, Caldari drops can be amongst the greatest. I'm hitting this mower, doing some pretty good damage. Great damage application. Let's get my modules running hot here and just see what kind of an alpha I can do. So let's see what this next volley hits for. Ooh, 3,300 damage. That is a very nice hit with a, I would say, 7-second reload time with my modules running hot. So pretty pleased with how well I can take out normal ships that aren't micro warp driving, and once I've taken out the ships that are emitting the EWAR. But again, even with the introduction of the target painters, the fact that the NPCs are now using these EWAR modules means I'm less effective. So again, it just seems like the medium missile launchers may struggle hitting smaller ships. And again, I need to try this on the live server. I need to get my hands on some better modules and be able to see if that makes a difference. Again, improve my skills, but there will be players out there with less skills, and this isn't looking particularly fantastic at the moment. And we'll see what happens on the next wave that spawns. But for a 550k-isk mission, this is taking a very long time. In Rapids, I would have probably finished, with Rapids, sorry, I should say, I would have maybe finished this mission already. Yep, last guy is about to go down here now, and let's see what happens on the next wave. I'm assuming ships on the next wave will have micro warp drives as well. Perhaps another frigate. Okay, so we've got all the ships here. They're all within range, actually. So even if I have these... Yep, I've got 3 missile guidance EWAR modules on me. Let's see what my range is now down to. It's down to 34 kilometers. It's crazy. That's... My rapid mediums were almost doing that range. Not far off. It just... crazy. So I'm guessing then, if I were to fight against Galante, their ships are going to be using tracking disruptors, sensor dampeners, so I won't be able to target as far, or I would say probably as fast, as the targeting range in EVE Echoes is very, very different to EVE Online. And yeah, the Amar ships will be using tracking disruptors, and of course Minmatar are using the target painters. So I think if I were to fight against Minmatar ships, that would probably be the best thing. I do farm Matar Reborn quite a lot. The tornadoes often miss my Cyclone, so being target painted might mean I'm probably taking a lot more damage. So it's changing the whole dynamic of how I'm going to be flying this ship. I need to find out who will be the best to shoot. But here we can see a cruiser micro warp driving, buzzing around me. So there were no, on these level of missions, these difficulty of missions, the 500,000-isk reward ones, standard encounter news missions, there weren't any cruisers with micro warp drives. And as you can see, I'm actually, looks to me like I've been tackled. I've been warp disrupted. Yeah, it definitely, I can see the icon there. If I'm warp disrupted on one of these missions, my goodness, that means that could be that all the storyline missions have changed as well. This is, yeah, pretty shocking. I didn't expect that at all. There'll be a lot of newer players that are learning the game that would normally warp out of an easier mission like this thinking, my goodness, I can't tank these ships, and now they are going to be tackled down and probably blown up. So that's probably a little harsh, but again, very interesting all the same. I'm not complaining too much about that, but certainly makes it different. Okay, so I'm working my way through these ships now. Again, it feels like my alpha damage is good on the cruisers. Anything moving fast isn't the best. Whilst they're using the E-War, my effectiveness is vastly reduced. So I am definitely fighting against the wrong ships here. So with this new patch, you're going to need to really think more about what ships you're going to be fighting. If you're flying a turret-based ship, you're going to want to avoid fighting against Amar, as they will be disrupting your tracking speed. And if you're in a Minmatar ship with missiles, as I am at the moment, you're going to want to steer clear of Caldari, and so on and so forth. So this has been a fairly interesting test, to say the least. I'd appreciate some comments. Let me know what you think, and yeah, that'll be very helpful. If this video is if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.